Every day for the next 7 days, I'm going to eat breakfast that originates from a different country of the world. Breakfast is considered by some to be the most important meal of the day, but different parts of the world have different ideas on what breakfast is. In Britain, we tend to eat cereal or toast for breakfast, possibly something cooked, like maybe a sausage, egg, bacon combo type thing. But different parts of the world have different ideas on what breakfast is, so I want to sample what other countries consider to be breakfast. Now, I'm not saying that every single person in these countries eats the same thing for breakfast every single day, just in the same way that British people don't eat a full English breakfast every morning. But what I am eating does originate from these countries and is fairly commonly eaten. So, let's find out what the world eats for breakfast. Good morning. It's day 1 of my eating international breakfast challenge? Do we call it a challenge? I don't know. What I'm eating today is called a Baleadas, and it's from Honduras. And it's sort of typical of the sorts of food that you might associate with Central America. It's basically a tortilla with refried beans, sour cream, and some eggs. It's one of these sort of local dishes that sort of spans the entire region, and so variations do exist. So you could put other things on it, like avocado and hot sauce and bits and bobs like that. And it's purely your own preference, apparently. I've got to admit, I am doing a bit of a cheat. I have got a lot of pre-prepared items. So I've got my tortillas, I've got a tin of refried refried beans, and then some sour cream. No one is entirely sure how it came about, but one story I did read was that it was one particular street vendor used to sell a very similar product, but one day she was sadly shot and killed. And so the locals decided they were going to go back to the same place to sort of eat the food that she used to serve there. And they would say, I'm going to read this because again, I don't speak Spanish. Vamos a comer abandonar la baleada. Sorry if my pronunciation is completely wrong there. Which basically translates to, we're going to eat where the lady was shot. And eventually just got shortened to Baleada. I quite like that legend, you know, sort of pays tribute to someone who gave people joy in their life. So let's get to it. So first things first, we're going to open our tin of refried beans, heat those up. And of course, I read a lot of recipes that tell you how to make this, but I'm being lazy. Get that on the hob. I'm going to heat my tortilla up now in what is hopefully a hot frying pan and stick it on my plate. I'm going to take my beans and just set that aside to cool off. So what I'm going to do whilst that's cooling is scramble my eggs. So into the pan, we throw in more butter and then in with the egg and stir that around until it cooks. And that should just about do. Literally it takes a few seconds. Right, now it's time to serve up. Throw on beans just to one side of your tortilla. And then let's put our egg in as well. It nicely covers the tortilla. I'm going to throw in some cheese. Now the recipe does call for this sort of Mexican style cheese, which I can't remember the name of, I'll stick on screen, which wasn't able to find, so apparently an alternative you can use is feta. And finally some sour cream. Put that in a few places, fold that in half, and there you go. One Baleadas. Right, now for the good bit, to actually eat it. I'm not sure the best way to actually eat it. Wait till start, let's go from here. Oh, actually that's really good. It's not too dissimilar to sort of like beans on toast. What's the refried beans? I think it's a red bean. The similar-ish flavour to the haricot beans that you might find in traditional British baked beans. Might be good to have some sort of tomato in there. That might just perk up a little bit. And I feel like it's missing that for me personally. If I was to rate it out of 10, I'd give it maybe a 7, 7 and 8, 7, 8, something like that. It's pretty good. Great. On to tomorrow. Okay, so it's day 2. Today we're going for Shakshuka. Shakshuka. I should really Google how to pronounce this name before I do it on camera.
Shakshuka.
It's originated in sort of the Middle East North Africa kind of general area. And it's essentially just, I would describe it as boiled tomatoes with some egg in it. Obviously it's a bit more than that, there's some spices and onion and garlic and all that kind of stuff as well, which is great. I'm going to go with some decent tomatoes this time. I've got some Napolina chopped tomatoes, which is like the good brand. I've got a bowl full of spices here. So in there we've got a teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of cumin, and just a little bit of chili powder as well. So we've got bell pepper, an onion, and some garlic, some eggs, and then we'll top it off with some flat leaf parsley. First things first, get everything chopped up. Again, this is one of those sort of like traditional ones, so there are various different recipes with slightly different ingredients. So I just sort of chose one that sort of appealed to me. Whether or not it's the, the authentic one is a matter for debate. I'll leave a link to the recipe I'm using down in the description as well. So this is to finely chop the garlic. Normally I would crush garlic in general, but sliced garlic can be good as well. So I'm going to give this a go. Alright, it's time to start cooking. Just going to get this pan nice and hot now. And then when it's ready, we'll start frying the onions and the peppers together. Alright, in they go. So you just need to cook these for like 5 minutes until they soften up a little bit. Alright, that's about 5 minutes. So now time to throw in the garlic and our spices. And just get that a nice little toss. So now we want to go in with our tomatoes. Season that with a bit of salt and pepper. And for the eggs, this is where I mess up. I've cracked so many eggs in my life, and yet maybe 1 out of every 4 goes, I break the yolk. So I've got 3 eggs, so let's see how they go. So I'm just going to cover that and wait for the eggs to cook. Apparently about 6 to 8 minutes. Alright, so those eggs are almost done. I'm going to finish it off with some freshly chopped flat leaf parsley. Oh, that smells good. Let's just sprinkle this thing over the top. Probably a bit too much. Oops. Now it's time to serve up. Just get that egg on the front now. And put the sauce around the side. And because I'm a pig, I go for 2 eggs. This is looking awesome. Alright, let's tuck in. Start with the egg. It's a little bit overdone. I would have preferred it to be sort of runny, but never mind. Maybe next time I'll cook it a bit less. Oh, that was actually good though. I love the freshness of the tomato. There's a slight kick from the chilli in there. The paprika is sort of giving it that nice taste. I can't think of words. Too early in the morning. One of the variations that I read was you could put some cheese on there, maybe some feta. You could also eat it with some pita bread or some crusty bread. If you want a carb-free diet or a low-carb diet, it's a good option for you as well. I'm not sure if I like it more than yesterday's one. I think I would put that at number 1 and this one at number 2 so far. But this is definitely something I might do again. I mean, it's so quick, simple. Well, it's not super quick, but I think it's on the verge of how quick you would want a breakfast food to be. Alright. On to tomorrow. It's day 3, my international breakfast challenge. And today I'm in Sweden. I'm in Wales, but I'm eating Sweden. For the first time this week, I'm actually eating something that is genuinely from that country, and that is Kalles Kaviar. Well, if you know anything about Scandinavia, you'll know that they are actually quite into their things in tubes. A lot of stuff comes in tubes, like cheese and meat and other things like that, and they just eat it on bread. And apparently this is quite a common thing to have at breakfast. Although, I've been warned there's a bit of an acquired taste. I actually picked this up from IKEA. You can get it at any IKEA you want. It's only about £1 and something. It's not too bad actually. It basically contains salted cod roe. Roe, of course, being eggs. So yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about this one. I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with fish paste, but you know, I'm used to this kind of stuff. This is the kind of thing we get in the UK, which is fish paste. You can see it at the bottom there, fish paste in a jar, but it's actually actual fish. It's not the roe. I also picked up some Swedish cheese whilst I was in IKEA as well, which I'm assuming is going to be similar to cheddar. I did want to get these very specific Swedish crisp breads, which I have actually had in the past, and I really like them. But unfortunately, I couldn't find them in any of the shops around here. So instead, I just on some rye vita, because when I popped to IKEA, I wanted to get the crisp breads there, and they didn't have any in stock. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that in this part of the world where I am now. But I suppose this is probably the nearest equivalent I can find. I also got down here some boiled egg, cucumber, and red pepper, which are other things that you traditionally eat these with for breakfast. Let's just squeeze a bit of this onto here then, see how it looks. Consistency that I would expect. Yeah, I definitely need to work out how to eat it so it doesn't fall apart, but you know, in terms of flavour, that's actually really nice. It's actually not too dissimilar to the fish paste I'm used to, but I can totally get on board with that. In fact, I'm going to throw some more on. It's actually good. I've read so much online about this before, and it's like, oh, it's an acquired taste, and no one likes it at first. But you get used to it. Yeah, this is good. What are you talking about? Let's try some of this cheese with it then. We've got some holes in it, but like some Swiss cheese. How am I supposed to cut this? This is a really odd shaped bit of cheese. I'm not used to cheese in this shape. I believe you need one of these. I actually got this from a Norwegian friend of my wife. A bit like that. I mean, I don't know if I'm mixing cultures here, but Sweden, Norway, you know, they're next to each other, so you know, they're not too dissimilar, are they? The cheese itself is actually quite powerful. Kind of like a bit of a mature cheddar, but sort of a bit Edam-y, maybe some Emmental. But not quite cheddar. But it's still good. Nice and creamy. I like that. In my opinion, I give this an 8 out of 10. Would definitely eat it again. Eating the rest of this tube is not going to be an issue. Let's see what tomorrow brings. So, day 4. And this is probably the most different thing I've eaten so far this week. It's from Malaysia, and it's called Nasi Lemak. Again, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I did Google it. That's what they said. So, hopefully it's right. And this is so popular in Malaysia, it's actually considered to be their national dish. When I was researching recipes for this, it mentioned all these other ingredients that it's very difficult for me to get hold of. I was trying to find things, and it's going to turn out to be very expensive. You know, obviously, you can get hold of them. But, you know, you can't just pop down to Asda and buy them. They just don't have them there. So instead, what I've done is I actually managed to find this company called Makan Malaysia, which basically means Eat Malaysia. And what they do is they make the food and then ship it to you. It's a bit like a takeaway, except instead of it being delivered by a guy on a bike, you have to order it 5 days in advance and get delivered by parcel force. Also, it's another one of these recipes that take a while to make. And again, so for breakfast, for someone doing it for the first time, it's not something I really want to be doing. But if I can eat a genuine, authentic article, why not? Let's go for it. So in the package they sent, they've got this really handy guide on how to prepare it. And it's really, really simple. So you've got your packet of coconut rice here. You've also got a portion of cucumber, a couple of boiled eggs, what's known as ikan bilis, which is essentially fried peanuts with fried anchovies. And finally, sambal, which is basically a spicy chili paste sauce type thing, which I've never had before, so I'm looking forward to that. And then you serve it on a banana leaf. Step 1, of course, would be to heat the rice up. This, to be honest, doesn't look all that appetizing in the way it is. Okay, so you just microwave it for 4 minutes, and after 3 minutes, just fluff it up with a fork. Seems simple enough. I'll just put that to one side for now, because I want to slice my cucumber and my eggs. Look at the two different colours of egg yolk there. Bit weird. Now for the chicken billis, or chicken billis and kachang. I'm not sure which one's which. It kind of smells like fishy peanuts. I suppose it would be when it's peanuts and fish. Actually, on the picture, the two things are separate, but in the bag they're mixed, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time just separating them out so they can be separate on the plate. It's probably not necessary, but you know, I'm going to make the final product look Insta-worthy. So I'll have to heat up the rest. While we're waiting for that, I'll start preparing the rest of it. So you want to put your banana leaf on the plate just like that. And then you want to line up some cucumber. A couple of eggs on the side then. And you get your peanuts. And then your anchovies as well. It's ready. In order to make it look nice, I'm going to skip it into a bowl and flatten that on top. Ooh. Messed that up a little bit. Alright, let's just do the second one. Can't see that on camera just yet, but that's so much better. There we go. That's the Instagram one. Final step, put a bit of this sambal. Oh wow, that smells amazing. Nice scoop of that on top of the rice. There you go, 2 plates of Nasi Lemak. Right, let's give this a go now. Woo! Wow, that sambal is hot. Maybe I shouldn't have taken such a big mouthful of that. I think I need some of this cucumber to cool me down. That's really nice though. Sambal is so fragrant and hot. So many spices in there, but it's like, yes, it's hot, but the underlying flavour is absolutely delicious. I'm just going to try one of these anchovies by themselves. Okay, a bit salty. Not too salty. Especially when you compare them to the tinned versions you get, which you often find on pizzas as well. Actually bearable. I'll just try it with a bit of the egg as well. And that's what turns it into breakfast. Because this dish, you can also eat it pretty much any other time of day. And just sort of mix up some of the stuff that you put on it. So like you can have it with like one of their gorgeous Malaysian curries, for example. Having rice for breakfast is a bit different. I don't think I've ever had rice for breakfast. And I've certainly not had a really hot sauce for breakfast either. So, would I have this again? Definitely. Would I make it myself? Probably not. It's too complicated, at least in the UK. But certainly if I was in Malaysia or a Malaysian restaurant, definitely something that I would consider. I would give this maybe an 8 out of 10. Enjoyable, but difficult to prepare. Definitely something a bit different and something to consider for the future. Oh, it's day 5, and it's such a miserable day outside, pissing it down. I'm not going to let that get me down. Today, I am in Iran. The Iranian breakfast does seem to be a mix of all kinds of different things, like breads, fruit, jams, preserves. There's also a type of porridge thing that they do as well there. And you would normally go to the bakery first thing in the morning and buy some bread. And it's based around naan, the sort of thing you might find with, say, an Indian meal. And I would love to have made some of the same stuff. I don't want to be making bread first thing in the morning. And of course, there's no Persian bakeries anywhere near me in the valleys in Wales. So I've just got a Indian naan bread instead. I'm hoping it's not too dissimilar. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's too different. This is a plain naan. I don't want to get anyone that's got like flavours attached with like garlic or whatever. I just wanted to get as close as possible as I can get. I actually have a genuine product with me again today. This is from Iran and it's sour cherry jam. I bought this online from an Iranian store who I think are based in London. If I was still in London, I would just pop out to the store and buy it myself, but unfortunately I'm in Wales now, so it cost me an arm and a leg to actually get this here, so hopefully I actually enjoy this. I'm also going to be eating this today with some watermelon and some walnuts. So I'm just going to heat up my naan and let's get to it. I've just heated that up in a dry frying pan. Let's open this jam then and see what it's like. I've never eaten sour cherry jam. In fact, I don't think I've even eaten cherry jam before. But it's quite liquidy. Most jams that I'm used to buying in a supermarket is kind of more solid than that, but this just seems to be rolling around inside the jar. This is extremely gloopy. Oh, that is really nice. Wow, so fresh, and that doesn't taste very sour at all. I was expecting it sort of like, well, basically a sour taste. Quite sweet. Cherry flavour is very strong. I'm assuming it must be made from sour cherries rather than the jam itself being sour. I'm going to throw a walnut on top as well. Yeah, that kind of works together. Well, I can get down with this one. It's so simple to make, assuming you have the bread. Nice, quick, simple breakfast. So delicious. I'll give this a 8 out of 10. Alright, on to tomorrow. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's one. It's going to take a lot more prep time, but it's the weekend, so I'm not under any time pressure to get to work on time, so it's fine. If it goes wrong, I can try and do it again. Almost there. 2 days to go. So today we're in Colombia. I'm reading a thing called Arepa de Huevo. Arepa de Huevo. Sorry, again, you know I don't speak Spanish, I have no idea how to actually pronounce that. But basically it's a cornbread stuffed with an egg. So cornbread is something that's very commonly eaten in Latin America, and is eaten in all kinds of different ways. Almost, you can have like almost like a bread roll, like a sandwich and things like that. But this particular version is a breakfast item. Essentially, you just make the cornbread and it puffs up and makes a hole in the middle, a bit like a pita bread or something like that. And then you stick in an egg and then fry it again. So the first thing you need is cornmeal. Now, in the UK we have to call this polenta, not to be confused with corn flour, which is what we have in this country, but that is what Americans call corn starch. Language is a crazy thing, even within the same language, it's ridiculous. Anyway, throw that in there. Also need half a teaspoon each of salt and sugar. Throw that in as well. Another recipe that's different to the one I'm following today, also they need to put a bit of food colouring in. It looks like red, and they gave 3 different options. Didn't think I'd actually find any of them, but in fact I did. And this is the one I actually found in Tesco. I'm not going to try and pronounce that word. I'll just throw a little bit of that into my jug and then fill it with 1 cup of warm water. About 236 millilitres is apparently 1 cup. Oh, that smells very medicine-y. Kind of has almost an air of chicken stock about it as well, which is a bit odd. So now I just need to combine this into the bowl. I'm going to pour it in a bit at a time because that's what you tend to do when you're adding wet to dry. So you're actually forming a dough with this, sort of like a nice bread dough, so you don't want it to be too sloppy. If it turns out to be too wet, I'll just add a bit more polenta just to make it the consistency you need. I'm going to get in there with my hands now and see if I can actually make a dough out of this. That is definitely what we're looking for. So this recipe will make 4 cornbreads, so I'm just going to quarter my dough and roll it into a ball. Then you put it on some piece of cling film like this, cover it on both sides, and then get yourself a big flat bottom frying pan and press it down on top to make your ball into a circle. Okay. Now you just take this, and I'm going to put it on a piece of baking paper over there, and we'll fry that in a bit. And then just repeat with the rest of the dough. And there we go. 4 cornbreads ready for cooking. I'm also worried these are going to fall apart. I'm going to use this flat spatula. Yeah, take that. That is exactly what I feared was going to happen, and that is just going to immediately fall to pieces. Alright, that one has disintegrated. Nice. And once it hits the oil, they seem to stay together. So I think the key here is just making sure that it doesn't fall apart before you've actually managed to let go of them in the oil. Tell you what, I'll try frying everything that I've got. in the hope that I get at least one that works. If it doesn't, I'll just try that with a fried egg, cooked in the regular way, as an alternative. Oh, I'm going to call that an almost complete total failure. Since most of what I've made here are basically corn biscuits. I mean, this one seems to be the best. I mean, what you're supposed to do is to open the middle, open the pocket. But I don't think I've even made a pocket. No, I mean, I literally, if I just tear this apart. I mean, well, actually, there is a sort of middle. But there's just no way of me getting in there. Literally no way of me getting in there. Because I obviously missed a trick somewhere. Something's gone fundamentally wrong. Let me know what it is. Because I want to know. I want to try and make these properly one day. I feel like maybe either the flour was wrong, or maybe it was too wet, or maybe the oil was too hot. But anyway, I've fried an egg. So I'll at least try and get the flavour of what's supposed to happen in this. So if I dig this cornbread into the egg, how does it taste? But I can see how the combination of flavours works. The cornbread to me is dry, but sort of dipping it into the runny egg does help it along a bit. But, you know, I've definitely done something wrong. But just based entirely on my attempt at cooking Arepa de Huevo, I'm going to have to give it 2 out of 10. I am not good at this. Final day of my international breakfast challenge, and today we're going to Nigeria to eat a thing called Akara and Pap. Like with many things I've actually tried this week, there are variations of this. There isn't actually one correct way of doing it. There are several other ways because it's something that people make at home and they just sort of throw in random bits that they like. So Akara is a fried bean fritter made from black-eyed beans / black-eyed peas, which I actually only found out this week actually the same thing. I just assumed they were 2 separate products, but no, different parts of the world call them by different things. Exactly the same. And pap is like a dipping sauce made from a fermented corn, and it's sort of a bit like custard or something similar to that. I have some of the genuine article. I bought this online from a Nigerian shop, and unfortunately I didn't read one very key instruction. It says it right there, store in the freezer. Didn't do that, didn't read it. I've had this for about 5-6 days now, so I'm kind of hoping it's still alright. We'll see, I guess. If it smells really bad, I won't make the pap, and instead I'll use one of the alternative options that I was told you can do instead. Custard. So if that fails, I've got a tin of ambrosia, we can have it instead. The ingredients to make the akara is you need black-eyed beans. Now all the recipes that I saw were talking about dried beans. Unfortunately I couldn't find dried beans absolutely anywhere in any shop I went into. The only place I could find it was these tinned beans. And you also just throw in half a bell pepper, half an onion, a Scotch bonnet chilli, so you get a bit of spice in there. And this one also says bouillon cube, or stock cube as we would call it in the UK. Didn't specify the flavour though, so I'm just going to go with chicken, because I kind of feel that's probably going to be the right flavour you need. We just need to roughly chop the veg and put all of the ingredients into a blender. Add a tiny bit of water and whiz it up. Done. Smells like bean paste. Let's throw this into a bowl now. As you can see, it's quite dense at the moment. It's almost like the refried beans I had earlier this week. What we need to do now is basically whip it. And then hopefully what I'll do is introduce some air, and it'll make the fritters all nice and fluffy. Actually, it does look a hell of a lot airier now, doesn't it? That's great. So while the oil is heating up, gonna make the pap. Oh, wow. I mean, it definitely smells fermented. Whether it's bad fermented because I've left it out, I don't know. If it's really bad, I'm gonna blame it on me. Now I need to pour some water in it. Sort of get it to a medium consistency. Great, now I'm covered in pap. Yeah, he's already starting to make a liquid, which is great. So now another thing you can add in is some condensed milk. Then add a little bit of sugar as well. 1 teaspoon. Interesting. Let's go fry the akara. The way to cook these is just grab a spoon like this, make sure it's not overloaded, and just dunk it in the oil. So you just cook those for a couple of minutes, and then drain them off and cook some more. Nice and simple, hopefully. Oh damn. Oh, I'm having more disintegration issues. They have just completely fallen apart. I mean, this is what I just took out of the fryer. Look at that. That is literally just bean paste. Nothing has happened to that at all.
Oh, why does it look like that? Like, it's not even a thing.
No. Alright, Fran's joined me to try some of this pap at least.
It's a bit tangy.
Yeah, and it's got a powdery sort of texture to it, doesn't it? In terms of flavour, it's not...
No, it's not bad. It's just not what I was expecting.
Yeah. But yeah, I wasn't expecting it to taste out of a sort of sour taste. I'm not sure if it's supposed to have that sour taste.
I think that might be because we didn't freeze it.
So it might have gone... I mean, it's supposed to ferment, but it might have fermented a bit too much.
Oops. 2 days in a row now, you've had very bad cooking days. That's very sad. Do you know what? I feel like I want to add some flour to that and see if we can make something of it.
Why not? Let's try it.
Try it.
Alright, let's see if this salvages it. Let's for a little bit in at a time. So it's a much thicker consistency now. It is still a bit wet, it's less wet. But actually, look, that's sticking on the spoon like that.
Yeah, and I went down. Oh, I was holding its shape. That's better. Okay, I'm gonna leave you to it now, babe. Come in, say the day, leave.
It's certainly looking a hell of a lot better. Finally actually got something that I can at least try. Whether or not it's actually what was supposed to have been made, I have no idea. But I'm pretty sure it's not. Let's just have a look inside. So it's kind of a bit... I mean, I was kind of expecting something like a bread, but this is sort of just like the beans that have been heated up and then got a bit crispy around the edge. Well, let's just try it. I mean, it's kind of just like bean paste. I feel like it was supposed to be more cooked on the inside and a bit firmer. But let's just try it with some of the pap. Interesting combination of flavours there. The beans are savoury, pap is sweet. It's very odd. I'm going to hold judgment on these ones because I'm not convinced that I have made an actual thing. I probably just invented something completely new, which isn't a proper product. Let's wrap up my week. That was a great week. I love discovering all these different new flavours and tastes from all around the world. Some stuff really surprised me. Some stuff didn't work out. I'll try them again in the future at some point. But there's some things there that I would definitely eat again. That shakshuka, amazing. It's relatively quick and simple to make as well. I mean, that's something I can definitely see myself doing again. I might change the recipe up a little bit just for my own tastes. I didn't eat it with any bread. Maybe I'd throw some bread in there, some pita or something like that. I'm so disappointed that the akara and the cornbread didn't work out. I kind of feel like maybe I didn't have the right ingredients. That polenta that I had, it's about 5 years old. So I'm wondering if its age had something to do with that. I don't use it too often. It's just been in a Tupperware tub in the back of my cupboard. It's moved with me from London to Wales as well. So yeah, maybe that was a mistake. Oh, and of course, the other thing that surprised me was that Swedish caviar thing. I mean, I've read so many comments online before I ate it saying that it's an acquired taste and most people don't like it first time. I could not disagree more. I actually really enjoyed that. In fact, I've had quite a bit of that for lunch for the past few days, so there's not actually much of it left. I might need to pop down to IKEA and buy some more. Oh, and of course, the Malaysian Nasi Lemak. It's so different. Like, I don't think I've ever eaten rice for breakfast before. One thing you didn't see, because I stupidly forgot to press record, is that I had an entire spoonful of sambal, and I could not stop hiccuping. It was so spicy. I think it was such a shock to the system. So yeah, if you're eating sambal, go easy with it. What do you normally eat for breakfast? Tell me down in the comments below, and also what country you're from, because I'd like to do another video like this in the future based on your suggestions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.